on the sea alone, staring at the full moon like a lover.
Welcome back. It is 9:20 right here in the heart of the Riverbend, downtown Alton, on this 10th day of February. I don't know about you guys, but I'm starting to get the winter blues. You know, work's getting a little stressful, maybe home life is, and you know, I can't give you all the answers to life, but the lady joining me now can. Coach Melody joins me now from Zoom. And Coach Melody, you are an expert when it comes to health and wellness, over 20 years of experience, and you're an author, so much more you contribute to. Thank you for joining us today.
You are welcome, CJ. Happy and thank you for having me. You know, I'm always ecstatic to be able to spread wellness around the world and talk to people. And so thanks for the invite.
And you're a busy individual. You just got off a plane from Atlanta, Georgia, doing another engagement, and now you're back here giving us some time, and we really appreciate it.
You are welcome. Yes, it was a quick turnaround, but it doesn't take long when you are needing to do the work and kind of just get back to it. And I'm looking forward to it. So I'm excited to be here today.
And before I get into any of our, in-depth conversation, I think it's so cool to have an asset like you in the area, because even though you are you're primarily located here in the area, you do things worldwide. You're all over, and you help so many organizations, businesses, and people. And it's just so cool. So thanks again.
You are so kind, CJ. You have me grinning. You see? I love it.
So I don't know about you, Coach Melody, but around this time of the year, I start to get in the, just the dumps. I'm down in the dumps, and maybe work's getting a little tiresome. Maybe, family life isn't, the best, which everything is, because I don't want any of our texters going, oh, CJ's getting fired tomorrow. It's not that. It's just kind of a related thing, because every year I kind of go through this, and the stress seems to build up, and I just got to, ask, in your experience, is this kind of a generic or common time for something like this to occur?
Yes, honestly, it is a time for various reasons. If you watch any studies, it shows that it get dark extremely early. That's one thing that's playing against everyone. It's cold outside, so less movement, just naturally. We become more destination driven. I call it when I'm speaking. I always tell people that because back before COVID, we are just kind of moving around as we want to, but now people kind of go where they're going and come back, go and come back. They're not as free will as before. And the darkness early, if you notice, like in states like in Alaska, it's a lot of depression around that, because sunlight just naturally releases endorphins that make you feel better. They increase your mood. So that's that vitamin D that a lot of doctors recommend in this, especially in the seasonal time. That's one supplement that is highly recommended. And I always tell my clients, get out, get you some sunshine.
Yes.
Physical activity, get moving, because like you said, this blues, it's normal. You just have to be intentional, which is one of my words I always use. You have to be intentional about what you're choosing to do.
I truly like that word, because you're right. If you don't have that purpose, you don't have that intent, then why are you doing it anyway, right? Is that kind of the correlation there?
Mm-hmm.
It makes,
absolutely.
Well, and honestly, it makes so much sense now that because, I thought it was just me that was kind of like, I almost wanted to, WebMD it as something wrong with me, because it just seems like you're right. When that sun goes out quick and the weather's not the same, I mean, the activity's down, and then the morale starts to kind of dwindle because we're at home locked up, or maybe just, inside and not doing what we like to do. And please get outside. I couldn't have said it better myself. I love that call to action any day of the week.
Well, you know what? Listen to this. That's one call to action. Get out, right? Mm-hmm. But another thing is really understanding what's happening, because like you said, you thought it was you. You're going to Google, go to WebMD. It's like, what is going on with CJ? It is a normal occurrence. And that's why if you ever notice, if it's just a gloomy day, it gives people a gloomy mood. So you have to be able to pick that up. And that starts with the mindset and just behavior modifications that I always talk about. It's important to make sure you're watching yourself to say, what's happening around me? It could be someone like, I was talking to one of my clients, and we were just she was going through something. Come to find out, it was the time that her mom had passed, right? Mm-hmm. But she didn't realize it because she was so busy, but she had started to really fall into a slump. So we have to realize different triggers that we have as well. and then the mood sets in, the darkness sets in, and so you have to like fight against it. That's what I always say. It's a fight, and you have to fight to win.
Well, and you know what? You segued this perfectly. I don't know if you can read my mind, but you kind of did. I've heard so much about as my time as, being an athlete, doing pro wrestling like I still do, doing the show, any type of corporate thing I've done, the snow globe effect. Where maybe you're coming into work and things are a little bit not so good and you're down in the dumps and it seems to spread if it's continuous, Is that something that you've experienced in this winter months as well in workplace?
Absolutely. As I am doing workplace wellness and building our programs, workshops, if it's workshops, personal development, what have you, we see it all the time, but that's part, CJ, of what I call energy. You have to make sure that energy that you're bringing in a room is conducive and uplifting. So, for example, if you come in and you're feeling doom and gloom, or you had an argument with your spouse or your kids just set you on the wrong mood, you can bring that into the workplace. So that's why it's important to be able to assess, okay, what's happening here? What am I bringing? And you can stop that, because I always tell people, like if I'm speaking, I'll say, I need you to stop. So if you're going from work to home, you need some transition time.
Yeah.
I'll just pick on moms right now. Moms do a lot. They're going from work to activities, to planning, to social activities, to supporting the kids, cooking, cleaning, getting them ready for bed. I always say you go from one job to the next. And even dads do the same thing. So like take time if you're pulling up to the school. I do a lot of deep meditation, mindfulness with my employees, because sometimes things are not seemingly well. We all have to admit that.
Right.
But it's the way that you react to it. So I say take a pause break, and then you can do some meditation, some really simple techniques that make you feel like you just got an entirely new day started. So when you're going from home, make sure you're developing time in your schedule, even if it's 5 minutes, to just call it a refresh, to refresh and get ready to move on to the next part of your day, so that you can be good to whoever you're coming into contact with next.
This is related, but it's kind of not. I was sitting there, and you just brought up so many memories. I was, as people know, when my grandpa was getting sick, I was taking care of him and doing some other business, and my family was helping me. But, it's a little bit, depressing at the end of life stage. And one day I was going over to help an individual with her house, and she goes, you know what? I want you to sit down and utilize my Calm app, because I had never heard of it before. I thought, what is this? 10 minutes of meditation changed my life forever. And I mean that. The world slowed down. I was able to breathe. And then the people around me were able to breathe, because I wasn't going down their necks or going at their throats every time they would say something to me. I mean, it really benefited me big time.
Well, you know what? Of course, it's been 3 years now of doing virtual presentations. I'm back in person now, a completely different energy. But when you talk about what you just said, it is huge. Meditation, that's one of the things I always build out of my workplace wellness. And the reason why, and this is CEOs, VPs, nurses, doctors that I'm working with, it does not matter. Professionals, a lot of people have never meditated. Look at you. You said you had not used the Calm app, which indicates that you had not meditated. It's new to me. I did a lot of training over COVID, and since I've started wellness, it's been 10 years. Like you said, I was in the pharmaceutical industry for 18, and then I went into my own business. It's been 5 years full-time that I've been working, going into, workplace wellness and building our programs. I found that to be the most valuable. Why? The stress levels are so high at work. You have to manage it. And the best way is with self-awareness, because you can only control yourself, not others. And when I tell you, I start off with 3 to 5 minutes, and because people are so wound tight, like even just through the neck roll and shoulder roll and stretching, it's 5 to 10 minutes. It felt like an hour. That's because people don't calm their mind long enough to really enjoy it. So it's like, you got to learn that. So I would say just start with 2-3 minutes and add on, and just until you get comfortable. And it's so many different techniques, CJ, that you can use, that I kind of introduce to people in the workplace. And just even if I'm doing some individual corporate coaching or what have you.
And that's so important. And I know that, there's some that maybe it's just, grabbing hold the tie to something that's around you and getting that sense and describing what it is, even to help kind of, get you into that, state of mind to hopefully start the meditation process. I don't know if that's something you've come across as well. That's something I actually learned from a therapist, believe it or not.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. You have to meet people where they are. That's what I love about, I do mental, physical wellness programs, but you have to meet people where they are. That's why assessments are so important to say, where you walk them. Well, I walk them through a series of questions, which gets me to understand where we should place their goals and what they should be working on first. Because one thing people cannot do, you cannot do it all at one time. And so I talk a lot about micro habits and being able to organically like roll them in and being intentional about 15 minutes, like let me work on one thing for a consistent amount of time, then slowly add in. Because what I found is that if you do too much too fast, it becomes overwhelming and people are just like, oh, I'm done, I can't. That's why they go on weight loss journeys that don't work. That's why, the stress is high. You have to be consistent. It has to be the discipline and commitment that's needed to reach the goals that you're looking for. And sometimes people just have a hard time doing that. But if you do slow and steady, it's quicker. You said you were an athlete. You can't just get in there and do whatever you need to do in one day. It's
right.
It's a process, right?
Exactly. And I wanted to ask you, if we don't manage this the right way, if you segued this perfectly, if we take on too much, is that the leading cause of like a burnout, or is it just kind of factors of everything that lead to that definition of what burnout truly is?
You know what burnout is, and I always try to get people to understand, you have to make sure you're managing your time. Some of those stress management techniques is very important to burnout. And another thing is people have to stop doing so much. I have had people that I work with that just to help them, especially in leadership capacities, to say no. If you start doing too much, that is what leads to burnout. It's too much, you're high energy, it puts your cortisol level high, it just makes you feel like zoom, 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 you go, go, go. Your body needs time to come down, to unwind, to relax. And burnout happens because I found in a professional setting, people trying to be entrepreneurs and go to work every day and manage their families and manage kids and manage extracurricular activities. I'm exhausted just saying all that. Action, right? Think about the action of it. So I say that the burnout, you have to manage your burnout and you have to be aware of what's happening in your life, and you are in control of your schedule. And so that's very important as well.
I just want to point out to the audience, because everyone watching that has worked with me in some capacity is going, you just stared right into CJ's soul and you told him everything that is going on. I don't know if that was your intention, but that was a definition of what I am going through to a T. It's too much all the time.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to have to give CJ a power hour. I'm going to have to gift you a power hour so we can calm you down. I do those are just one-offs, just to give people an introduction to Coach Melody that can be purchased on the website at Unwrap.com. And the reason I say that is because sometimes for some people, they need a longer, more robust program. Some people can just get started and kind of rechannel, get some accountability. But honestly, if I described you, that's normal. All that I just talked about is real world, what I talk to men and women about every single day, no matter if I'm speaking, no matter if I'm just going into the workshop to do a lunch and learn or creating a program. And what I love about wellness is it brings everybody to say, wow, that's me. I can identify with that. Let me slow down. Let me start doing things a little bit differently. Let me exercise. Let me meal prep. Let me stop eating out so much. Like, it's all of these epiphanies they get along the way, which is what it's about. But it has to have some action with it.
That's a great point. Because we can all think about and know we need to do something, but unless we make that action, then it's not good. It actually might add to the stress, because you're thinking about it all the time.
Exactly. We don't want stress is a major killer, and people don't even know it. Stress is internal. And so a lot of times people don't identify with it and they don't even know what their triggers are. If it's an eye twitch, if it's a numbness somewhere, if it's sleepiness. And so it actually manifests in the inside, and then people go, go, go. And there is a lot. I have a YouTube video. It's called Stress Kills, and it gives you data and outline. It's amazing how people just don't know. And then it's hard to diagnose because doctors aren't used to seeing the stress part because you're thinking more of just the symptoms. Well, the symptoms don't show properly. And so you won't ever really know unless you're in tune with what's going on. So I always tell people, be aware of what's happening in your body, in your head, in your mind, and just being able to identify the different triggers that you have.
Well, and I think that's why your services are really so important and so impactful because, we can call the therapist, we can go and talk to somebody, but sometimes you need someone like yourself that's an expert in this that can just say, all right, I need you to take a breath and I want you to look at your daily schedule and tell me why you're burnt out. Because sometimes we need to be told that obvious thing that's in front of us that we just don't want to admit. Right?
It's hard to admit, sometimes, and I don't think people do it as a way of trying to. It's just that people are pleasers. They don't like to say no, and people will pick on the ones that work because, the best way to get someone to do something is that people always find the workers to do the work, right? And you can identify who those people are. And it's just important that you're thinking about yourself. Self-care is not selfish. It's so amazing to be able to look at yourself and say, I can't do that. And I have to do it myself. If I can't fit it in, I will, but I take breaks throughout my day to walk around the block, to walk around the house, to go to the mall and mall walk, to just get out and refresh your brain. Because if you go, you're not being the best. You see how perky and refreshed I am? I went to the gym before coming here. So it's like...
Well, and that
for CJ and his listeners.
Yeah, well, and I mean, you're segueing all of my thoughts perfectly because I've heard so much about this work-life balance, and people I think assume that there's hold on, Zoom, don't you tell me I got to wrap it up. Hold on, Coach Melody, I'm sorry about that. That's rude. I never meant for that. But this work-life balance is what's really. I've heard so much about. There's not, to me, a one-size-fits-all of what a work-life balance should look like. And is that something that you kind of deal with every day when it comes to, teaching people about ways to, better their self-care habits?
Well, I will say this. I don't believe in work-life balance. I believe more in integration.
Oh.
So you have to look at it in a different way.
Yeah.
Balance means you're not going to ever be always balanced. A relationship is not balanced. Like situations are not balanced. But you have to be able to integrate whatever that is that's needed. So that's what I believe in. And it's also about bringing yourself back and reassessing and understanding what's happening and what's going on. So that's what I pride myself on, no matter who I'm working with, who I'm encouraging, who I'm empowering, what transformations. I will say that everyone that comes to me gets a transformation depending on what it is you're looking for. But they always, 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 CJ, leave better than they came. Period.
I honestly just want to thank you because that was the most impactful statement I've ever had on this show because I don't think people, it's, the common consensus when they hear the word so many times, that's eventually, the term that it's used for everything. I so agree with that. There is no such thing as a work-life balance. There's no balance. And it makes sense. And I got to ask you, because we have a couple of minutes left, and you've been so gracious to give us, I told you 15, and we're going a little bit over that, and Zoom's yelling at me in my computer. But it's so important. And when it comes to that self-care, I want to kind of ask you again about micro habits, because to me, when I think of a micro habit, I think of, maybe getting up after a sales call or maybe an interview and going, just for a 5-minute, cool down period. Is it things like that, or is it a little bit more intricate?
No, it depends on you and what we're trying to solve. But I would say that's a good one because a micro habit is something that's small that you can incorporate on a regular basis. So let's say you're given, I would hate for you to hop off of this one and do another one right away. So your micro habit is that thing about refreshing. You know what, CJ, it's time. I need 15 minutes between calls. I'll take a quick walk around the building, maybe go get some water, hydrate, make sure that you do some stretching or some breathing. That could be one of your goals. So then you turn that into a micro habit. You do that every day, Monday through Friday, while you're doing interviews. And then that becomes part of your routine. It might be, okay, I'm going to work out in the morning, right? Because I always recommend to clients, work out in the morning. It increases your endorphins, make you more active, makes you more productive. And then, it maybe start at 15 minutes. Before you know it, you might call me, Coach Melody, I'm at an hour. So building the time in, you don't have to start at any particular number. You just want to make sure that you start. So if you do 10 minutes, then 15 minutes, then 20 minutes through the week or the day or however you want to increase that number, that's building a micro habit. And the thing about a micro habit is creating a lifestyle change for me, which is what I teach. It's not short bursts, it's not quick fixes, it is truly lifestyle change.
And see, that is so important because I think too, what I do, and I'll just, put myself as guinea pig status for this conversation, is I can't keep the blinders like this all the time. because, we're human, and eventually you open up the blinders and go, well, how come, he can work out, he just started working out and he's already bigger than me, or he's, able to, bench press 280 and I'm at 98 pounds. Is it things like that make some of that difficult, and staying focused is key?
Well, I would say this: everybody have to run their own race, and no comparison. Do not compare yourself to anyone. That'll get you down quicker than anything else. Just like the same thing, think about big races. I started the 3K. I call it the Fam Fun 3K. And we had the 6th year last year. It's been a progression every year. If I would have looked at the Coleman race, for example, and said, oh my, I want to be like that. She had to start somewhere. If you look at the originality, it started very small up in Peoria. But think about me. Now it's over 3 continents and 22 states that I have a walk to help fight childhood obesity. And it's a family fun event. So if I would have just wanted to be at the end result, I would have never started it. You got to crawl before you can walk. So I say to everybody, don't compare yourself to anybody. You set your goals for yourself. Make sure they're SMART goals, realistic, they're attainable. You know what I mean? Like, that is going to help you overall versus anything else.
You are the best seguer I have ever had on this show. I don't know. Can you read my notes from there? Can you read my...
No, I'm going to tell you first of all, I have sales. I'm very a good speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I build my speeches. I never use any paper because I have to build it in my head and just organically walk through it. And it's the best because people want to see your real self. So they saw the real CJ and the real Coach Melody. And this is just part of what I do.
Absolutely. Well, let's segue a little bit further into that 3K. Is it coming up? How much time do we have to prepare for this?
Well, we're putting the finishing touches on it. My team and I. It's getting authorized through the city because, it's an actual big event.
Right.
The information will be released at the beginning of April, but the date is 9/9/23, which is September 9th, 23. It's a family fun event. You can come in person. You can build your own team like you're in Alton. You can build a RiverBend Fam Fun 3K where you have all of your community come out and walk somewhere right in Alton. Wouldn't that be amazing?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah, and then we have it that's going to happen at Lincoln Park in East St. Louis, Illinois. People come from St. Louis. People are coming from all over states because, I'm dynamic worldwide. So I've invited people to come down from different states, but they can still walk from their own location as well. So I'm really excited about this 7th year. You can go, any of your listeners can go right to my website. The Fam Fun 3K is right there. The different videos from the past years. And they can learn a little bit more about Coach Melody. That's www.unwrapu.com. And that's YOU. And you can also find me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, or you can email me right from my website.
That's incredible. And I know we have a lot of business owners in the area and a lot of people that are going, you are speaking to my choir. Is there a way that businesses can get a hold of you? I know we got a couple of minutes left, but I definitely want to get this service out there because it truly is important.
Absolutely. They can go to my website and email my team directly or go to the social media sites I just mentioned. And the reason I say that because we have to start with a consult to make sure that I'm the best fit and make sure of what we're trying to work with them on. But yes, we can start small. I started a new introductory offer for workplaces where we can come in and do a month to just show it changes the culture. It changes behaviors that make people feel good and they like that their companies are investing in them. Wellness is so essential, especially right now. People are going through a lot. And so you want to let them know that you care about them and you trust. We can do coaching. We can do email blasts for newsletters. We can do health tips. There's a multitude of things that my team offer as far as wellness, yoga, physical activity, mindfulness, stress management. The list goes on and on. So I would recommend everybody just schedule consult. It's free, and I will look forward to speaking with them.
Absolutely. And Coach Melody, I can't thank you enough. I took you way longer than I told you I was going to, but this is too important to talk about. Once again, thank you so much. We've been speaking with Coach Melody. She is a wellness expert. She teaches and helps with so many different things that could really help you or your company strive for a better tomorrow. Coach Melody, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me, CJ, and I'll see you again when we release the 3K so we can get everybody up and moving.
Absolutely. We're going to take a quick break. Luis Noya is our St. Louis sports correspondent. He's been in the Blues locker room, Cardinals clubhouse. We get all the latest after this.